Sarika, good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you? I could see you in the audience, in the participants list.
Uh, I just came on for some time, you know. So how's everything? Doing well? On schedule?
Yes, sir. All going good. All going good. We are having a wonderful workshop
Oh, good.
be-
That's nice.
because of
Uh,
maybe experts like you.
Oh, all right. So are we on schedule?
Yes. We are on schedule, and the participants are also already there.
Okay.
So, because we have just finished the previous session 15 minutes back.
Okay. All right.
So we could
Uh,
initiate the session whenever you permit.
yeah, I'm ready. I'm absolutely
Okay,
fine. All right.
right. That is perfectly good then.
Okay.
So I will take your permission to introduce the speaker to the participants before we formally take over the session. So, dear participants, Professor Philip is with us. He has been a professor with over 38 years of service in teaching, research, and academic administration at National Institute of Technology, Kurukshetra. Apart from teaching, he had supervised research for PhD, had undertaken projects, and had published a number of research papers. He had also organized and attended many national and international conferences, seminars, workshops, etc. He had been the head of the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences for 2 years, the head of the Department of Business Administration for 5 years, and had also been the Dean Students Welfare for 2 years. After his superannuation at the age of 65 in June 2015, he had been re-employed in the institute as the coordinator skill development, which he completed in June 2017. Professor Philip is now associated with the Civil Society Organization Institute for Sustainable Development and Research, ISDR, Mumbai, which enjoys a collaborative status with a number of UN agencies. He represents ISDR in various international forums. That is great, sir. Till date, you have lot of energy to work on all these schedules. Hats off to you. Over to you, sir.
Sarika, before I start, I'm using a PPT, so you'll have to share that actually. Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
You could
Uh,
do it now.
all right. Okay. Uh, I'll start in that case.
Yes, and
Yeah.
actually everybody is muted, so
Yes.
you can they'll be putting their queries whenever they have in the chat box,
Okay. That's fine. Absolutely fine. All right. Thank you,
and
Sarika.
whenever they raise hand, I always unmute them.
All right. Okay. You can do that anytime. You can stop me in between or at the end, whenever. You're welcome to do that. Right? Shall we start?
Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
All right. Uh, a very warm good morning to all of you, dear young friends. I call you all young because I'm an old man. As Madam Sarika mentioned, uh, having had an experience of nearly 40 years, 38 to be precise, I'm a kind of a veteran in the teaching profession. I understand that my audience today mainly comprises teachers, research scholars, and a few students. I'm extremely happy to have this wonderful opportunity to interact with young minds and share my experiences and my understanding with all of you. I know that this FDP is focused on an extremely scientific and technical subject. However, the sponsors of this FDP, the All India Council for Technical Education, AICTE, has prescribed some inputs other than science and technology. So I've been given the responsibility to introduce some human element into this FDP. So I welcome all of you to keep your scientific mind aside and look at certain human elements. To help us along with our interaction, I have prepared a PPT entitled Pursuit of Happiness, a Worthy Career Goal. Pursuit of happiness, that is, pursuing happiness should be considered a wonderful, worthy career goal, whatever be your career. Of course, because I'm addressing teachers and research scholars mostly, we are looking at teaching as a profession. So what we're trying to do today is take up this particular theme of pursuing happiness in life, particularly pursuing happiness in your career. So I've entitled my presentation, Pursuit of Happiness, a Worthy Career Goal. Let me start with this very simple question. What's your goal in life? If I ask you, what's your goal in life? I'm sure I'll get different answers. Some of the possible answers are, you would say, my goal in life is to be a rich and wealthy person. So you look forward to a wealthy life. Some of you might say, I want to be successful in life. So a successful life can be a goal for some of you. A third set of people might say, my priority is health. And particularly during the pandemic, I'm sure many of you would have changed your life goal to having a healthy life, right? So healthy life could be another life goal for some of you. A fourth set of people might say that we would like to have a very contented life. Contented life in the sense, a very satisfied life. That is, whatever life is given us, we are happy with that. So to have a contented life could be. So I'm suggesting that if I put to you this question as to what's your goal in life, you would respond this way. I want to be wealthy, I want to be successful, I want to be healthy, I want to be contented. And I'm sure some of you would also say, I want to be happy in life. In fact, when you look at the first four, the end result of being wealthy, being successful, being healthy, and being contented is all being happy in life. So happiness, that way, is a goal for anybody, right? Whatever be your other goal, the end goal for life should be being happy in life. In fact, the United Nations, which has now started giving a lot of priority to happiness when they measure success of an individual and also success of a country, right? They've stated this, happiness is a fundamental human goal. This is a statement coming from the United Nations, and they're trying to say that happiness is a fundamental human goal. Now, I said that United Nations has started giving a lot of importance to happiness. And this is because of the reason that I'm stating here. So UN says happiness is fundamental. It is an existential objective, which means that the objective of existence for us humans is achieving happiness in life. So that is why the UN says happiness an existential objective. Now, if you go back a few years, United Nations and the world over, people used to measure the success of a country in different ways. First, we started by saying, what is the per capita income of a country? The highest per capita income would show that the country is developing well. Per capita means the income per person of the population of a country. That is, the total income of the country divided by the population would give you per capita. So the first criterion for measuring how good a country is doing, how well a country is developing, was the per capita income. From there, we moved on to GDP, that is the gross domestic product of a country. That is the total value of the production that takes place in a country. This became the criterion. So GDP is this, GDP growth is this. So that became the criterion for measuring the success or the development of a country. From GDP, we went on to HDI. HDI stands for Human Development Index. That is, the experts began to say it is not just per capita income, that is income per person. It is not even GDP, that is the gross domestic product of a country. What is important is to measure the quality of life of a people in a country. That is, how well the wealth or the money that a country has is used for developing the life of the citizens of the country. The quality of life of the citizen should be good for a country to be considered developed or successful. So from GDP, from per capita to GDP to HDI, and then they now came to the World Happiness Index. Now, the United Nations is today saying that the development of a country should be measured in terms of the happiness the country provides for its people. Or put differently, it means the happiness of the citizens should indicate how well the country is developing. Now, this is a very interesting development that we see from per capita to GDP to HDI and now to the World Happiness Index. Very interestingly, the concept of World Happiness Index was introduced by a very small country, which is a neighbor of India, Bhutan. Bhutan is the country that brought up this concept of measuring the happiness index, right? And they said that the development of a country should be measured in terms of the happiness the people enjoy, all right? So this was brought forward by that. Today, we have the World Happiness Index 2020, and the World Happiness Day is also celebrated. March 20th is the World Happiness Day. Now, that indicates the world today recognizes the importance of happiness. Therefore, we have a day designated for this purpose, World Happiness Day, March 20. The World Happiness Index is based on a survey of the state of global happiness that ranks countries by how happy their citizens perceive themselves to be, right? So there is a survey that is conducted every year, and the happy index is measured, and then the countries are ranked according to the World Happiness Index. Now, the top 5 countries in the last few years has been countries from Northern Europe. what we call mainly the Nordic countries or the Scandinavian countries. Finland is considered the happiest country in the world, closely followed by Denmark, Switzerland, Iceland, and Norway. Now, 4 of the 5 top countries of the world, measured in terms of happiness index, come from the Scandinavian region, that is Northern Europe. And then we also have Switzerland, which comes further south to the middle of Europe. Right? These are the top 5 countries of the world when we go by index, the happiness index. I'm basing the top 5 countries on the 2020 index. After the pandemic has started, things have changed slightly, but the top ranks remain more or less the same. So we have Finland, Denmark, Switzerland, Iceland, and Norway, the top 5 countries when we go by the World Happiness Index. Now, let us look at India and India's status and position in the world, and then see where India stands as far as the World Happiness Index is concerned. Let us look at a few things that we all know about India and its position in the world. The status of India in the world. The first thing that all of us know, and I'm sure all of us have done this at the school level, India is the 7th largest country in the world. Right? We all know that, with Russia being the largest country and India the 7th largest country. And again, as all of us know, when we consider population, India is the 2nd most populous country in the world, second only to China, our neighbor. So it's when it is the 7th largest country in the world, the 2nd most strongest population. We are the fastest growing among the major economies of the world. So this is something that we should all be very proud of. We group, which is considered the fastest when we consider the major economies of the world. So when we are actually shown as a poor developing country, when it comes to economic growth, we are a fast growing. No major country in the world grows at 6 to 7%. So fastest growing among the major economies. We are the 2nd largest in scientific and technical manpower. When we consider scientific manpower and technical manpower, we have the 2nd largest manpower pool in the world. We have the 3rd largest military in the world. So this is also a big status for the country. After we have Russia and then USA and then China closely, we are the 3rd largest military in the world. When it comes to space technology, we've been doing extremely well. In fact, when we consider the successes of India after it became independent, our achievements in the field of space is something that is always mentioned. So when it talk about space technology, among the most developing countries, after the most developed countries, India comes. We're the 6th as far as space technology. We're also the 6th when it comes to nuclear energy, particularly possessing a nuclear bomb. So we are the 6th nuclear power in the world. And when it comes to industrial development, we are the 10th largest in the world. Now, why I mention these things? To say that India as a status in the world for a number of reasons. Now let us look at India's status when we consider the World Happiness Index. The Happiness Index shows that India has a very poor position. India's position in the world according to the 2020 Happiness Index. 21 Happiness Index has just been out, but I'm not considering that at the moment. If you go by the 2020 Happiness Index, we are 144th in the world out of 156 countries that were considered. So a survey was conducted based on the happiness index, and India's position is 144, which is a very poor position. Are we to understand that we Indians are not very happy? Now, that is something that we can explore. So India's position 144 out of 156. India, if you go by this index, is becoming increasingly unhappy. If you consider the last 3 years, we have actually been falling. Let's look at that. In 2018, we were at 133. In 2019, we were at 140, and 2020, we are at 144. Now, these are very poor positions, and as I said, India is becoming increasingly unhappy. Now, this is in spite of the fact that we have a number of reasons to be very happy. We are a country of a large number of national and regional festivals. We celebrate a lot of festivals, and festivals are an occasion to be happy. But in spite of that, we find that India's position in the world is very poor when it comes to the happiness index. So in spite of being a nation of festivals, we are an unhappy nation. Number 2, we celebrate life, a part of our nature. Celebration is part of our nature. We look forward to reasons to celebrate. For anything and everything, we are ready to celebrate. But in spite of that, it is said, according to the World Index, that we are an unhappy nation. We always continue to pray for universal peace. Whenever we pray, we not only pray for ourselves, we pray for our society, we pray for our country. We also pray for the world, and we also pray for humanity. And therefore, we pray for universal peace, and therefore happiness should be very much a part of this. We pray for the living and the non-living. When we pray, we also pray for the non-living. And when we say living things, we not only pray for ourselves, humans, we also pray for other living things like animals and trees and plants. And we also pray for the non-living things around us. So there is every reason that we are very aware of the world, aware of humanity, aware of even non-living things around us. And we as a society, we've been taught by our sages, our gurus, that we should go beyond focusing on material things. So we should be looking at a lot of things that are beyond the material, right? Our gurus have taught us that. So therefore, there should be enough reasons for us to be happy. In spite of all this, very fundamental things in our society, we find that we are still not happy. So this is something we, the people of the country, should take serious note of. Now, if I ask you the question, or if somebody asks the question as to how to be happy, a few things are always known to all of us, and I'm just listing them down. I'm looking at an extremely popular American writer, Ray Bradbury. This is the image of Ray Bradbury. And he's made a very interesting statement as to how we can be happy. And he said, do what you love and love what you do. And that's what Ray Bradbury's prescription to be happy. He says, if you love what you do and do what you love, you will be extremely happy. And this is a mantra that all of us should keep in mind. Do what you love and love what you do. Continuing with that, if you are convinced that what you're doing is important to the beneficiaries, that is, for example, as teachers, if we realize what we are doing as teachers is important to our students, then you would try to do it well. And when you do something well, then you love doing it. And when you love doing it, you will be happy doing it. So, in how to be happy, apart from loving what you do, there should be reasons why you are doing it. Is it important to the beneficiary, what you're doing? If it is important to the society, you will be happy. If what you're doing is important to the society, you will be happy. If as teachers we are convinced being a teacher is extremely important to the society, then this obviously becomes important and important to the country. That is to say, if we are convinced that what we are doing is important, then chances are that you would love doing that. And when you love doing that, you would be happy doing that. And then when you say that what you're doing is important to all those around us, then you're proud of doing what you're doing. So the simple prescription for happiness is you love what you're doing, realize what you're doing is important, and then you can be proud of what you're doing. Now, I want you to keep these things in mind as we go along in our discussion, and we will particularly focus on how we as teachers, because as I said earlier, I would think that most of you are teachers in the audience. Many of you are research scholars who are aspiring to be teachers, I would like to believe. And some of those students who've come along. I mean, whatever be your career, what I'm saying today, although it is specific to the teaching profession, the same things are applicable to any kind of careers, actually, right? Love what you're doing, be aware that what you're doing is important, and therefore be proud of what you're doing. Now, let us focus on what is of concern to all of us, that is the education sector. You as teachers and research scholars and as students, you're connected with the education sector. A few years back, that was 2017 to be specific, when I remember when I was at NIT Kurukshetra, the president of the country, the then president of the country, Sri Pranab Mukherjee, addressed all the major educational institutions in the country. That is, the faculty, staff, and students of all the major educational institutions in the country. And he used to do that twice a year. In 2017, he chose happiness as the topic for his discussion with educational institutions. And he titled his presentation, Happiness and Well-Being, a Touchstone of Education. He says, the standard that education sets, or the outcome of good education, should be happiness and well-being. I thought it was extremely important that the president of the country telling the education sector that the outcome of what you're doing should be happiness and well-being of your students, happiness and well-being of the society and the country, right? So this is what Sri Pranab Mukherjee did, and I just put up this to say, addressed by the President of India, Sri Pranab Mukherjee, to students and faculty of higher educational institutions on January 10, 2017. And I remember listening to him while sitting there in the hall at NIT Kurukshetra. And when I chose this topic for our discussion today, this came in. I'm not going into details of what he said. He basically said what is mentioned in the title, that is to check out whether the education is delivering what is expected of it. He says the touchstone, the standard should be whether it is the outcome of education is happiness and well-being, right? So that is exactly. So that is to say, all of us who are involved in the education sector should be aware that the product of what we are doing should be happiness and well-being of the beneficiaries, starting with the students, then the society and the country as a whole, right? So this is particularly, I remember this. I want you to look at a few images just to highlight the fact that India is a developing country and it is struggling to develop. And education with which we are all engaged has an extremely important part to play in driving the development of the country. Now, this is a statement that comes from an extremely important person. I'm sure at least some of you would recognize him. He's Raghuram Rajan, the former governor of the Reserve Bank of India. I remember reading a book by him recently where he said the quality of education that we provide in the country is a real roadblock for development. That is, the quality of education is obstructing faster growth for the country. That is to say, that we in the education sector, we are not providing the kind of education that is required to drive a faster growth and development for our country. Coming from a person like Raghuram Rajan, who was the governor of the Reserve Bank of India, this is something that we need to take seriously. That is to say that we are not providing or contributing to the growth and development of the country because the quality of education that we provide is not up to the mark. Another image which all of you would recognize, I'm sure, this is Bill Gates, the former chairman of Microsoft, the founder chairman of Microsoft, and today considered to be one of the richest men in the world, one of the richest persons in the world. He comes in the Sharika, I need that permission for share.
Yes, sir.
I need the permission for share. The share is gone.
Okay, 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 wait.
I see.
Sir, done.
Done. Share. Thank you. Thank you. I'm coming back to that.
Okay, well.
All right. Sorry for that. What we were trying to say is we are looking at the image of Bill Gates, considered to be one of the richest men in the world, otherwise founder chairman of Microsoft. During his last visit to India, uh, he said, I'm very disappointed. And he was mentioning the education sector and saying that he was very disappointed with the education sector. It is not driving development in the country. And he particularly mentioned, I'm disappointed with the attitude of the teachers. And he said, the teachers are not proud enough in the country. That is, we, the teachers, are not proud of what we are doing. Whereas he believes that the teachers and the education sector as a whole has an extremely important part to play in driving faster growth and development of our country, right? So this is another one. The earlier one was Raghuram Rajan, who said the quality of education is obstructing faster growth. And now we are talking about Bill Gates, who said, I'm disappointed with the contribution of the teachers and the education sector as a whole. They are not driving the growth and development of the country. And in this kind of background, we have an extremely successful story of a person who is making learning an enjoyable experience. And that's the image of the person I'm putting up next. I'm sure all of you recognize this person. This is Baiju Ravindran, who is behind Byju's, one of the most successful startup companies in the world, in the country today, right? And what is he doing? He is making learning an enjoyable experience for the children. Now, while doing that, while making his company successful, he's pointing fingers as all of us teachers and students as well, and saying that what you've been doing is not good education, not quality education. So his tagline for his country, for his company, Byju's, is fall in love with learning. He says it is possible to fall in love with learning, right? And that takes us back to the old question of what Ray said, that if you love what you're doing, you will be happy. And this is exactly what Baiju Ravindran is banking on in starting his company. And the tagline of Baiju's is fall in love with learning. Now, I just put these two images, Raghuram Rajan and Bill Gates telling us that we in the education sector, we are not delivering. And whereas we have Baiju Ravindran, who's telling us the way you are teaching, the teaching learning process is not giving anybody happiness. It is considered a burden by the students. So he says, I have a few things which can actually make learning a happy experience. So he says, let us fall in love with learning. That is what he's telling the young children, and which is actually a great success story. So, in the education sector, we have to focus on doing things well, and then we should be making ourselves happy, and we should be making our students happy. So, that is the main theme that I'm putting forward during our interaction today. Uh, being happy and making happy. As teachers, let us ask ourselves two questions. Number one, are you happy being a teacher? Let us sincerely ask ourselves the question, are you happy being a teacher? If it's only if you're happy being a teacher, can you make your students happy? That is the second thing. Do you make your students happy with your teaching? So one of the fundamental questions in the context of happiness is, are we happy being teachers? Are we happy doing what we are doing, that is teaching? And if we are happy what we are doing, then we will make our students happy. So being happy is important to making happy, right? That's what I wanted to tell you in this slide. I'm going to ask you this question, and I ask this question whenever I interact with young faculty, young teachers. Are you in this profession by choice or by chance? Did you decide to become a teacher by choice, or was it just by chance? I'm sure each one of you would have different answers because of the different experiences that you've had. But either way, I would like to think you are in the right profession. After having
So
spent
we
so
can
many,
see in the chat box. We can see in the chat box also some replies if people want to respond.
yeah, what is the maximum response, Sarika?
I like the participants to please answer for this, because a very important thing we should understand.
Right.
Then only we could enjoy our profession.
All right. Are you in
Yes,
this
guys.
profession? Yeah, question is, are you in this profession by choice or by chance? Uh, Nothing wrong in saying by chance. For example, I would say I'm in this. I was in this profession by chance. After I did my MBA and PhD, I thought I could go into the corporate world and have a different kind of life. By chance, I came into teaching, and then I discovered the joy of teaching. And then I've been there for nearly 40 years, 38 years, as I said, to be precise, right? And
I
therefore,
understand, sir. I understand it takes time. Maybe people are taking time in thinking that really it was by chance or by choice. But
right.
yes, you could take your time and please
Uh,
answer to it.
You're all right. All right. Okay. Let them answer. Give them time, Sarika. All right. Don't worry about what is your answer. It can be both by choice and by chance. It's individual actually, right? As I said, I was in this profession by chance, but later, of course, I enjoyed it. And either way, I believe you're in the right profession, right? Either way, you are in the
Yes,
right
sir.
profession.
So
And
20% by chance,
all right.
20% by chance.
20% by chance. All right. So that is fair enough, I suppose. Most of us would really think of what profession you want to take and work towards that. But some of us would accidentally come into the profession also. So that is fair enough, Sarika. So teaching, why I consider either way, you've come in by choice or you come in by chance, you're, I believe, in the right profession. Teaching is still a noble profession. I strongly believe in that. Some of the youngsters may not agree with me, but I think if you take it in the right sense, you would discover that it is still a noble profession. And why do we consider it a noble profession? Why do we celebrate the teacher, the guru in our country? There are enough reasons for you youngsters to be extremely proud and happy being a teacher. Some of the reasons I've mentioned here. We live in a country or we live in a society that has traditionally respected the teacher. I'm sure all of you would agree with that. The guru had an extremely important part to play in the life of a youngster. Why in the life of a youngster? Even the king of a country respected his guru, and the guru was always consulted on decisions that were very important to the country. Even the king consulted the guru. So we live in a society, in a country that traditionally respected the teacher. So some of that respect is there even today. And that's the reason why I said it's still a noble profession. We not only impart knowledge and skills to our students, we develop their personality. So one thing we should all be very clear about is we're not teaching them a subject or we are not teaching them a skill. We are actually in the process of developing the personality of our students. Once you understand that, you realize how important is what you're doing. And as we saw earlier, if you realize what you're doing is important, you would love doing it. And when you love doing it, you would be happy doing it. So remember, we are not just in the business of imparting knowledge and skills. We are in the business of developing the personalities of our students. Another reason, we shape the future of our students and through them shape the future of our society and the country. Always remember this. We as teachers, we have an extremely important role to play in the growth and development of our society and our country. And that is why Raghuram Rajan and Bill Gates mentioned that the education sector is not doing well or not driving the growth and development of a country. So let us realize this fact that when we are shaping the future of our students, we are actually shaping the future of our society. We are also shaping the future of our country. So we have an extremely important part to play. Another reason, we are role models to our students. I'm sure all of you would agree that students look up to the teachers. And remember, this is a very scary thing. The students watch you very carefully and imbibe, imitate what you're doing. So therefore, you are a role model to your students. And therefore, you need to be extremely careful about how you conduct yourself. What you say, how you say it, what you teach, everything is being closely watched by your students, and they try to imbibe those things in them. So you are a role model to your students and therefore extremely important. And when we look at the history of our society, our country, we will find some of the greatest citizens of this country, greatest human beings who've been here, they've all been great teachers. So if we have had great teachers, you as a teacher, you can be extremely proud of the fact that you are in great company. That is why I said we are in esteemed company. We have some great teachers to look up to in our country, society. Let me show you a few examples of that. All of you would recognize the young boy and the teacher here. I've titled this slide as the Marksman and the Master. This is Arjun and his teacher Dronacharya, right? So Arjun and Dronacharya, Arjun, as all of you know from the Mahabharata, he is considered was a great marksman. He's extremely skillful with the bow and the arrow, and he learned the skills from his teacher Dronacharya, right? So great teacher and equally great student. Another great teacher and a student here, all of you would recognize him. The student is Vivekananda and his teacher is Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Now, Vivekananda is an extremely important person in Indian culture and tradition and Indian history. But he's always given credit to his teacher, Paramahamsa, for what he became later in life. And that's why he said, my guru was my mentor. And whatever I've achieved in life, the name and fame I've achieved is all because of my guru. So another great teacher and a student. Here we are looking at the second president of India, Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan, after whom it's on his birthday that we celebrate the Teachers' Day. It is believed that on his birthday, some people went to him to ask, how would you like your birthday being celebrated? He said, so the question to Dr. Radhakrishnan was, how would you like your birthday celebrated? And his reply is what I've given there. If possible, I would like it to be celebrated as Teachers' Day. And after that, September 5, or 5th of September, which is his birthday, is every year celebrated as the Teachers' Day. And as a teacher, he was an extremely efficient, effective, and influential teacher. It is believed that students used to move from one college to the next when he moved from one college to the other, because every student wanted to be Dr. Radhakrishnan's student, right? So another great teacher whom we have, after whom, on whose birthday we have the Teachers' Day. Another great teacher, all of you recognize Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, the former president of India. He was a number of things, all of us know that. He was a great scientist also. He is known for his missile. He was known as the missile man of India. He was a president of India. He was a technocrat. He was a director general of DRDO. He was a scientific advisor to the government of India. He was a writer. He was a teacher, popularly known as the missile man of India, who put forward the Vision 2020. In 2000, he wanted that India should work towards becoming a developed country by the year 2020. We've not been able to achieve that. Pura is another concept that he put forward, providing urban amenities in rural areas. So he's a man who's given this country great ideas and great achievements in space technology as well as in missile technology. Before he passed away, he was asked, how would he like to be remembered? He was a man known for a number of things. And he was asked, how would you like to be remembered? And the answer he gave was, most definitely as a teacher. Before he became the president, if you read the book, he said he was called out of a classroom to be informed that he is being considered for the next presidentship. And after he completed his 5-year tenure, he went back to teaching. So before and after, Dr. Kalam was a teacher, right? And therefore, when he was asked what would he like to be remembered as, whether it is being remembered as a spaceman or a missile man, or as a president, as a technocrat, what would you like to be remembered as? He said, most definitely as a teacher. That is to say that in our traditions, teachers had a great position, and even today, teachers have respect in society. Let me bring you to some of the contemporary teachers. All of us know this. P.V. Sindhu, the silver medalist at the last Olympic Games and a world badminton champion. She and her coach and mentor, Sri Pulela Gopichand, when the two of them, after winning the silver medal in the Olympics, went to meet the Prime Minister of India, this is how he greeted them. He said, the teacher here, Gopi Chand, is an example of a good teacher, that his student has achieved so much, right? So he is an example of a good teacher. Another sportsman, a very famous sportsman, and an equally famous teacher. All of you remember Sachin Tendulkar is never tired of telling about his guru. So it is the master blaster and his mentor, that is we have the picture here. He used to continuously give credit to his teacher. So Sachin Tendulkar, the successful student, and the equally successful teacher, Ramakant Achrekar. Now, Ramakant Achrekar is the name of his coach and his mentor. I put up these images to tell you that teaching is still a noble profession, and you get a lot of respect if you're a good teacher. And remember, as a teacher, you have an important part to play in the growth and development of this country. So you can be very proud of being a teacher. So some of you are teachers, some of you are aspiring to be teachers. So this is the inspiration to all of you. Why is education so very important today is one particular reason. Education has always been important for any society. For a developing country like India, it is all the more important. And India today is in a very critical and very advantageous position as far as its population is concerned. So from that point of view, education has an extremely important part to play. Now, we call it the demographic advantage. Demography is to do with population. Demography is the science of population. So we have a demographic advantage. What is the demographic or population-related advantage that India enjoys today? Average age of the population in India today is 29 years, as against 40 years in the USA, 46 years in Europe, and 47 years in Japan. Now look at this figure. That is to say, majority of Indians are young. More than 54% of India's population is below the age of 25. That is to say, India is a young country. Young in the sense, youthful country, and that is a big advantage. Now, the working population of our country, which is considered between the age of 15 and 59, is about 64%. So the working population is about 64%. Look at all these numbers. They're all so important to say that India has a huge advantage as far as its population is concerned now. Now, this advantage can become a profit. We call it demographic dividend. What is the outcome of this advantage, or shall I say, what should be the outcome of this advantage? Now, this advantage is available only for a short period for the next 25 years. It is believed that by 45, we would lose this advantage. We would also become an old nation. So therefore, 25 years available to us. To exploit this small window, we need to develop our population into human resource. Now, what is the difference between population and human resource? Productive, useful population becomes human resource. Now, we have the second largest population in the world. That can be an advantage or it can be a disadvantage. What is the disadvantage? Because of these large numbers, anything we do to grow and develop is handicapped because of the large numbers. But if we succeed in converting these large numbers into human resource, productive, useful population, then this would become a huge advantage. And we who are in the education sector has an extremely important part to play in converting population into human resource through the education sector. So we should be playing that role effectively. We need to equip our youth with employable skills, hence the Skill India campaign. We started the Skill India campaign, providing necessary skills to the young population so they can earn their livelihood. So we have the Skill India campaign. We also have the Startup India campaign, where we encourage youngsters to become entrepreneurs, right? Hence the Startup India campaign. So we are undertaking various activities to drive the development of this country and take advantage of the demographic advantage that we enjoy now. And we who are in the education sector, we have an extremely important part to play in this. And therefore, dear teachers, all of you remember that you're doing a very important role in the development of our society and the country. And therefore, you should need to take this seriously. And once you take it seriously, you would love doing that. And once you love doing that, you would be happy doing that. That is what I'm trying to put forward today. Let us do a reality check of what is happening in the country today. I would assume that you, the teachers who are here today, are mostly with engineering background, and the research scholars and students who are here are all in science and technology area, mostly, because the topic is extremely technical, I know, of the FDP. So I assume this kind of background. Let us do a reality check of the country today. India today produces lakhs of engineering graduates and postgraduates. But the industry says most of them are unemployable. This is a statement that is coming from NASSCOM. NASSCOM stands for National Association of Software and Service Companies, the largest employer in the country today. Now, the largest employer in the country is telling us, who are in the education sector, that the students you're producing are unemployable. That means they are useless to the industry. That means there is something seriously wrong with the education sector, with the education system. So the reality is that. That's why I said it, reality check. 75% of our graduates and postgraduates are unemployable, therefore useless for the industry. Who's to blame? We, the teachers and the system of education, is to blame for that. So let us be aware of it. Another statement that comes from an HR manager, a student of mine who visited me. So I asked him, when you come for selections of students for potential employment, what do you look for in the candidates? Now, this is the statement that he gave me. He said, we are not looking for mere engineering degree holders. We are looking for engineering professionals with holistic personalities. Now, remember one statement that we made earlier, that we are not just imparting knowledge and skills, we are developing the personality of our students. And this is exactly what the industry is looking for. They're not looking for somebody with just a degree. They're looking for somebody or a professional who's got a holistic personality. So the education sector, the education system, and we, the teachers, should actually contribute to developing the holistic personality of our students, rather than limiting our role to just giving them knowledge and skills, because this is what the industry is looking for. I wanted to look at these two statements, which would give us a reality check. And that is 75% of our graduates and postgraduates are not good for the industry. They're not employable, or put differently, they're not market ready, right? Serious allegation against us, the teachers and the education system. And then to say that if you think that by just giving a student a degree, and some knowledge and skills. This is what is required in the industry? No. They're also looking for holistic personalities. The big question we need to ask ourselves is, are we actually providing this to our students? It is only then that we can say that we are doing a good job, and therefore we can love the job we are doing. Therefore, we can be happy in our job. So I'm coming to the happiness part of it, because what we are doing as teachers is important, and therefore let us try and do it well, and let us love what we are doing, and then we will definitely be happy in our lives. Now, I asked this HR manager, as I mentioned, he was a student of mine who came for campus selection in our institute, NIT Kurukshetra. That is when I asked him the question, what are the things you're looking for in a student, in a candidate when you come for campus selection? And this is what he told me. And I've listed the first statement he made was that we are not looking for mere engineering graduates. We are looking for holistic personalities. When I asked him, what do you mean by holistic personality? This is what he mentioned. And he mentioned that, first of all, we are looking for technical knowledge and skills. So when a team of professionals come to an engineering institute for campus selection, first and foremost, they look at technical knowledge and skills. So as teachers, it is our responsibility to equip our students with the necessary knowledge and the necessary skills. Skills would mean ability to act on the knowledge that you've learned, right? So technical knowledge and skills, he said, was the number one thing that they look for when they come for campus selection. But along with that, he said, normally everybody thinks this is what we come for. But he says, I already mentioned, we come for holistic personalities. And therefore, he said, apart from technical knowledge and skills, we also look for social skills. And he identified the social skills. He said social skills would mean interpersonal skills, skills required for a person to interact with fellow human beings. So, ability to interact with fellow human beings is an extremely important professional skill, because in a job you're not alone. You are looking at a number of human beings around you. Some would be your level, some superior to you, some subordinates of yours. So you're working with people. So your ability to interact with them, to communicate with them, and to listen to them, understand them, and ultimately influence them towards one direction is all extremely important social skill. And he said, along with technical knowledge and skills, we expect our students to have social skills, like interpersonal skills, good communication skills, and also good manners and etiquettes. In the corporate world, it's extremely important for an individual to have good manners and etiquettes when he interacts with others. And when he interacts with people outside the company, this individual is acting as an ambassador there, and therefore it is expected that his manners and etiquettes remain extremely important, right? So technical knowledge and skills, number one. Number two, social skills. He went on to say, life skills are also important. And then he listed the life skills like ethics, values, attitude, integrity, and balance. So he said it's extremely important that life skills are also there. So he's talking about the whole package when he says we are looking for engineering professional with holistic personalities. Now, who is a person with holistic personality? He's a good engineer, that is, he's got good technical knowledge and skills, but in addition, he has also got good social skills and good life skills. And if he doesn't have good life skills, sooner or later, he will be a failure in life. And that's what he said. He said, our students and we also focus so much on technical knowledge and skills at the expense of the other two skills, social skills and life skills. We, the teachers, need to realize that these are important for developing a holistic personality in our students, and therefore do our best to actually make our students holistic personalities. Now, what is the missing link in the professional education? Is acquiring overemphasis. We give overemphasis on acquiring knowledge, acquiring skills, and acquiring a job. That is what we do in a typical technical institute. We try and give our students some knowledge, we give them some skills, and then at the end of it, we help them acquire a job. That is what happens. But what the HR manager said was that acquiring life skills find no place in our system. This is extremely important. How many of us take some time off during our interaction with our students, maybe in the class or outside the class, of talking about human values and ethics, right? Talking about how it's important to be, how integrity and honesty are important in your life, how maintaining a balance is important in life, right? Now, this is what is mentioned there. Acquiring life skills find no place in our system. As a result, the product of the system is an imbalanced student who sooner or later meets with failure and unhappiness in life. That is to say, if you don't equip your students with good life skills, that is values and ethics and integrity and honesty and professional balance, sooner or later this person is going to be a failure in life. So what is expected from a teacher in a professional college, like most of you are? It is not just developing an engineer, but a professional with a holistic personality. That is what. One of the most important points I want to drive home during this interaction is this. I want you individual teachers to make a note of this, that you are not in the business of developing an engineer. You are in the business of developing a professional with a holistic personality, right? Now, to highlight the point that I was trying to make, let me narrate three stories of students, of my students, in fact. The first story is that of Kamal Kishore. He is an extremely successful entrepreneur, but a failed family man. When he came to meet me, Kamal Kishore, I remember, he was very excited about the success he attained in his business. He started a business, a small business, and it was doing extremely well when he came to meet me. And he was bubbling with enthusiasm, telling me how he made a success of his business. And I said, I'm extremely happy for you. And you are now a very successful person. So I'm really, really happy for you. But tell me something about your family, I said. Now, the moment I mentioned family, I saw him putting down his head and very sadly telling me, and I remember that very clearly now, that he was separated from his wife and children. And he told me that this is the price I had to pay for my success. That is to say, in his success story, he was a successful businessman, but he was a failed family man. And that's why I've put against Kamal Kishore, a successful entrepreneur, but a failed family man. Now, all the enthusiasm that he showed in describing how he became a successful businessman all faded away the moment he mentioned about his family. Now, friends, I want all of you to remember this. This is the balance that we talked about in life skills. It's extremely important for each one of us to maintain a balance in life, particularly whatever be your profession, be the teachers or if you're in the corporate world, it's extremely important you balance your time, quality time between the work that you're doing and your family. Otherwise, you would be a failure, uh, a successful failure in your life, as I can narrate from Kamal Kishore case. A successful entrepreneur, but a failed family man. So the balance that you bring into your professional life is important. I know so many examples of people who sacrifice their family for the success in business. That is not worth it at all. That is not worth it at all. But there are people who make very intelligent choice when it comes to balance. I remember another student of mine, a girl student, who was the topper of her branch and joined a dream company and had a dream job. After 2 years, she married, and after another 2 years, she had a child. And that is when she decided she would give up the job temporarily and focus on the family, particularly on the child. And I remember meeting her, and I said, I'm very surprised you gave us such a dream job, such a wonderful job. You've been such a good student, and I'm sure you would be such an asset to your company. She said, yes, I have no doubt about all those things. But she said, I felt that at this stage in my life, it is important that I'm available to my family, particularly available to my child. So she made a very conscious choice, and thereby she balanced the requirement of the professional and a family life. And she said very confidently, I'm confident once my child grows up to age to go to school, maybe I can go back to work, right? And I'm very confident I can get a job. So she was very confident and very balanced in her outlook. And maintaining a balance in life is an extremely important quality, that is life skill that is required. That is why balance is mentioned as one of the life skills. Very many occasions, choices that you have to make in life, it's important that you maintain a balance, right? So Kamal Kishore's case, a successful entrepreneur, but a failed family man. That is where the importance of life skills come into play. Number two is Arun Verma, a successful professional, a failed personal life. Now, here is a person who was extremely successful on the job, but the pressures of the job got to him after some time. So here is an extremely, no, he spent all his time on the job doing things, and therefore he was rewarded on the job. But at what cost? At the cost of his personal life, right? He was losing health, he was losing focus. As a result, he became an extremely sad man. Although he was successful professionally, he could not balance that with his personal life. And I was told that he committed suicide. Committed suicide because although he was successful, he couldn't balance his personal life with your professional life. This is an extremely sad situation for an extremely successful professional, that at the personal level, he could not balance that with his professional life. Now, Arun Verma, a very unfortunate story of an individual losing out because of this. Ankit Goswami was another case in pursuit of success at any cost, even at the cost of honesty. He was a civil engineer, graduated and worked for a well-known company as in the civil engineering department for some time. And after that, he became a consultant. He became a consultant as a design engineer. And in doing that, he had to actually interact with various government agencies to get the contract that he required. And he started using unfair means to get contracts and also used unfair means in the construction involved in projects that he took over. And he started becoming dishonest by bribing people, and he thought he can get away with that. He was very successful. He made a lot of money from his construction business, and he thought he knew how to handle this. But later, when I heard about him last, we found that he was in jail because he was dishonest in his dealings. Therefore, at some stage, this came to light and he was arrested, and there's now a case running against him. I just gave the examples of three people who've all been very successful in their profession. But because they could not balance with professional skills with life skills, we find that they failed in life. So I want all of you to remember Kamal Kishore, remember Arun Verma, and remember Ankit Goswami. All of them very successful. Is this what we want out of life? But failed in life. So that means deep down, there was so much of unhappiness in each one of them. Although externally, professionally, they were very successful people. So stories of real life stories of my students is what I narrated here. Now, professional ethics and human values are very, very important. So what I'm trying to say here is that we, the teachers, we develop engineers, as I repeat, by giving them knowledge and skills. But if you want to make a success of your students, you have to actually focus on professional ethics and human values as well, along with technical knowledge and skills. You remember the HR manager identified number one, technical knowledge and skills. Number two, social skills. And number three, life skills. So when he said what we are looking for is a holistic personality is a person who has all of these things, who is a package of all the three. I repeat, technical knowledge and skills, social skills, and life skills. It's only when we bring about all these three things as a package that you have a holistic personality, and therefore some kind of success is assured for these personality. Let us just run through professional ethics and human values. Professional ethics are moral principles that guide one's behavior in a profession. So ethics are principles that guide. So you have certain ethics for engineering. Do you actually stick to those moral principles? Is an extremely important thing that we have certain ethics in teaching, in the teaching profession. Are we sticking by them? Is a question that we need to ask. So moral principles that guide one's behavior in a profession is what we call professional ethics. Number two, human values. Human values are beliefs about what is right and what is wrong and what is important in life. So values are what is right and what is wrong and what is important in life. So a combination of the two is what is required. Professional ethics and human values. So we need to find a way, or the system of education should actually help us combine all these three: technical knowledge and skills, social skills, and life skills. Let us just run through a list of ethical issues for teachers. Are we being guided by the professional ethics of teachers? Is a question each one of us needs to ask ourselves. Let me just put up some of those, and you can do your cross check in your mind as to whether I'm following this or not. Honesty is an important professional ethics for a teacher. Are you honest in doing what you're doing? Is a question, right? So honesty is important. Integrity, being right, being proper in your teaching profession. That's important. Fairness is so important for a teacher. Do you teach your students fairly? Is a question that can continuously come up. You treat one student in a particular way, the next student may be treated in a different way. That is a contradiction. So when we say fairness, we are also looking at these two, right? Impartiality. In dealing with our students, are we impartial? Are we able to look at students and their performances? When we evaluate their performances, are we impartial about what we are doing? Is an important ethical issue in teaching. Compassion, the ability to feel for others, not the ability to just feel sorry for others, but to feel for others. So that is compassion. Humility. The higher you go in the hierarchy or in the number of degrees that you gather, you should all the time be humble of what you have achieved. And humility is such a good human quality. And if you're humble, your students would learn from that and shape their lives accordingly. You are a role model, remember. So if you're humble, your students would also follow that. Punctuality is something that is not there in we, the Indians as a whole. But if you want your students to imbibe this quality of punctuality, which is extremely important in the corporate world, right, then you should be punctual, right? And the students will learn that. I'm sure all of you would agree, if you're punctual in going and teaching in your class, you would see that all the students follow that, and they're also punctual. So punctuality is an important ethical issue, and I would expect that each one of you would cross-check yourself. To what extent am I honest? Do I follow the practice of honesty, integrity, fairness, impartiality, compassion, humility, and punctuality? It's a big question mark, and you need to ask yourself that. Apart from this, so I said technical knowledge and skills, and then social skills, and number three, we talked about life skills. Apart from this, there are certain add-on qualities that you should ensure that your students get from you, right? Certain add-on qualities. Out of that, number one is these days, just being an average graduate, postgraduate, and an ordinary engineer is not good enough. We need, or the corporate world needs, that you're all the time thinking about newer and newer ideas and products. So an innovative mindset is an extremely important quality that is required today. So this is an add-on quality. Have you encouraged your students to be innovative in the institute, in your project and other places? It's a question that you need to ask. So innovative mindset is an add-on quality. Entrepreneurial mindset is equally important for a country like India. We have large number of population. I remember reading yesterday that we've crossed 830 billion. So that is something that all of us should be very, very, I'm sorry, one 1.38 billion, 130 billion we've crossed. And it was gone again. Yeah, the
Yes,
share
sir, you are back.
back. Okay.
I will give you the presenter.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
All right. Thank you. I'm back.
Yes.
All right. So what we need is, apart from other things, innovative mindset and entrepreneurial mindset. That is, think differently, start something new, so that you become an employer rather than an employee, right? And you would be helping other students also to earn a livelihood. So you should encourage, as teachers, we should encourage our students to be innovative, to be entrepreneurial, and then a global mindset. Now you realize that a country is not limited to the geographical boundary of our country. You should have a global point of view, looking around the world. A global mindset is required. And therefore, you should encourage your students to have a global mindset. A patriotic mindset is so very important. As we grow, we lose that love for the country. Remember, we are all the time a part of our country. Wherever we go, we are in the country, we are outside. We are always part of our country. We are recognized by our country.
Get an
Whenever,
object. Look at that specified in the exam. Can you please replace an object? Look at that specified.
hello, audible now?
Yes, sir, you are audible. I couldn't understand who spoke.
Yeah, I don't know.
Somebody want to say something?
No. I think it was part of a presentation, is what I thought,
I'm
totally
sorry.
fine.
Yes, sir, you are audible. Please go ahead.
All right. Okay. So the fourth add-on quality was a patriotic mindset. And the fifth one is a passionate mindset, right? Now,
Now,
and innovate.
innovate.
Some disturbance.
Some disturbance.
Am I audible?
Am I audible?
Sir, you are audible, but there is an echo.
There is an echo.
All right. Okay.
All right.
How about even now there is an echo actually, right?
Even now there is echo actually, right?
Just one second.
Just one second.
Sir, are you logging with two devices?
Two devices?
No.
No.
Yeah. How's it now?
Yeah. How's it now?
The echo is there.
Echo is there. Okay, let us see what we can do. My voice didn't come back.
Acha, yours didn't, huh?
I think fine now.
Acha, it is fine.
Yes, it is good now.
Right. All right, I'm getting back. Yeah. Now it's okay, I suppose, Sarga?
Yes, sir, good now.
All right, okay. All right, let me just, the add-on qualities. I said innovative mindset. We should encourage our students to be innovative. Number two, entrepreneurial mindset. We should encourage our students to not all the time look for jobs. It's all right after they graduate, they take I've lost you again. Hello.
Hello, sir. What happened?
I don't know. The PPT, you have to share that again.
Okay, okay. I'll just do. Now,
Yeah, I think it's coming back. It's back now. It's back. Yeah. And the audio, I suppose, is clear.
yes, it is clear.
All right. Okay. So going back to this particular slide, add-on qualities, innovative mindset, entrepreneurial mindset is important. A global mindset, as I said, our students are not training to become employees in the state, not even in the country, in the region. It is a global exposure that is important. So we as teachers, are we giving our students the necessary global exposure is an important question that we need to ask ourselves. When we take up case studies and examples, are we limiting ourselves to just our region, our state, or are we able to take up examples from across the globe is an extremely important part of our training of our students, because it is important for them to have a global mindset. Now, so that is at number 3. And number 4, a patriotic mindset I mentioned. We are losing that. We are all becoming extremely selfish, and we think that what's important is to think about oneself and how one can develop in one's profession. But each one of us, we are recognized by our country, right? When we go abroad, for example, you would say, I'm so and so from India. So your identity is closely associated with your country. And therefore, it's extremely important that you're passionate about your country, you love your country, and you should all the time think in terms of giving something back to the country. I said giving back to the country because I'm sure all of you would agree, right? I'm sure all of you would agree that the education that we receive is not fully funded by the fees that we pay. The government or the society through the government is actually bearing the expense of our education. So many of us have this feeling that we pay fees and we are being taught, and that is it. But the expense of our training, our learning, of our graduation is much more than the fees that we pay. Therefore, in actuality, we are indebted. We are indebted to. We are indebted to our country, our society. If we are indebted to our country, our society, once you graduate, you finish your training, you finish your learning, you should all the time be thinking in terms of how I can give back to the society, how I can give back to my country. And that should be a burden on your mind, that in what way can I give back to my society and my country? Because they have helped me become what I am. So the patriotic mindset is an extremely important part of your training. So we, the teachers, should find opportunities, different opportunities, whereby we can actually try and help our students inculcate this quality in their personality, right? And develop that mindset that I need to give back to my country, give back to my society. And then being the passionate mindset, being passionate about anything that you do. If you're passionate about what you do, you would be happy doing that, right? Being passionate. Irrespective about, if you're passionate about being a teacher, then you would always realize that you enjoy teaching. When you enjoy teaching, you derive happiness from teaching. And therefore, this is another mindset that you need to develop. help your students be passionate about whatever they do. And to the extent possible, tell them that once you go into the industry, you go outside into the world after all your training. If you find passion in something else, be free to take that up and passionately pursue that, right? So these are some of the add-on qualities that we should keep in mind. And during our training of our students, during the teaching learning process, we should find many different opportunities to help our students develop these qualities in their personality. I repeat what I said: innovative mindset, entrepreneurial mindset, a global mindset, a patriotic mindset, and a passionate mindset. And if we help our students acquire these qualities, then you would have the satisfaction of having done a good job. And when you have that satisfaction, that contentment, that would lead to happiness in what you're doing. And that's exactly what we are trying to do here. If you do something well, passionately, effectively, then you would be happy in your life. And that is the ultimate goal of your life in that manner. Coming to the point of being passionate, I'm giving the examples of 3 of my students who, after they graduated as engineers, found their passion in some other field. And today they are pursuing their passion and they're extremely happy people. I personally met all of them after they stopped being an engineer and they picked up what they were passionate about. And I found them extremely happy people. Let me give the examples of these people. The first example that comes to mind is here. They are Anurag and Shikha were my students here at NIT Kurukshetra. And after they graduated as engineers, they graduated in the year 1997. They took up jobs in multinational companies, right? Both of them were IT professionals and very good at their jobs, and both of them had extremely good jobs, very good jobs, right? But after some time, after I think about 3-4 years probably, they decided that they were not finding passion in their job. They were not happy about what they are doing. And they suddenly discovered they had a passion for taking up rural development and helping the deprived people, right? Helping the poor people in rural areas. So they started a new organization, a new NGO, which they call NEEV. And NEEV is an abbreviation, a short form that stands for New Education and Environmental Vision. So they were focusing on 2 things, on a new type of education and on environment. So they decided they would do this in the rural areas. Anurag was from the Jharkhand area, and Shikha was actually from Haryana. They were friends, which later developed into a relationship, and they got married. So as husband and wife, they decide to go into the rural area of Jharkhand. Anurag belonged to Jamshedpur, so they chose a rural area outside Jamshedpur in Jharkhand. And they started with a small school in a village, and where the kind of education that they gave was very different to the traditional education, right? And the rural people were extremely happy about this. The children were extremely happy. They also did something relating to the environment. They trained the rural women to do small jobs that did not in any way adversely impact the environment, but to be self-employed and therefore become independent. So they went into soap making and making of other artifacts which were environmentally healthy. At the same time, these products could be sold outside, and they also help promote this kind of products in the outside world. So this is the passion that Anurag and Shika found. They were extremely passionate, or they are extremely passionate about helping the rural poor. I remember both of them visited our institute, and they interacted with me, and I made them interact with students. And their story was an extremely inspiring story. And many students felt that this is something that we should take up seriously. That is, it's not necessary that after we graduate, we go into the engineering sector. We should be passionate about doing anything that we love. And here is a good example of Anurag and Shiga, who were passionate about going out. Another student I want to talk about is Anurag Kundu. He's a computer engineer who graduated from here in 2013, and he got a job. But he decided that he would not take up a traditional job. He would, in fact, take up a job that excited him. The job that excited him was he was passionate about teaching the slum children in and around Delhi. So he joined the Teach for India campaign, and that's what I mentioned there. He gave up the job that he had through campus selection, and he joined the Teach for India campaign as a Teach for India fellow, where he was hardly getting anything, but he was passionate about teaching the slum children and very excited about it. Whenever I met him after he started this, I found that he was very excited, and therefore he was very happy about what he was doing, helping. Today, he is part of the education campaign of the Delhi government, and he's extremely effective, very popular, and he is doing what he is passionate about. When I met him last also, he was very happy about doing what he was doing. So Anurag Kundu, passionate about teaching, otherwise a computer engineer. Third person I want to talk about is Hitashri Chandelier, again an electrical engineer from here who graduated in the year 2004, took up a job, selected during campus for a very good job in IBM, right, and took up this job, but soon realized that she was passionate about art. So she gave up the job and started an organization which she called Mithila Asmita, right? So this was for promoting folk art in the Madhubani area, Mithila area in Bihar, right? So she went into promoting Madhubani paintings, which are extremely unique, and went into exhibiting them and marketing them. And today she is a very well-known person in the area of art, Madhubani paintings particularly, right? Now, here is an engineer, an electrical engineer, who found passion in rural art, in folk art, and today is promoting that and extremely successful in what she's doing. Now, I gave you 3 examples of people who took up things they were passionate about. And all of you teachers and your research scholars and students who are listening to me, feel free to take up or follow or pursue your passion, right? If you feel that is off the line, doesn't matter. If you're passionate about that, I'm sure you would succeed in that and you would be making a mark in that area. So it's very important for a person to be passionate about. Now, it could be engineering, it could be innovation, it could be entrepreneurship that makes you passionate. Follow that. But if it is an untraditional way that you want to follow, be ready to follow that as well. So be passionate about what you're doing and encourage your students to be passionate in that. Finally, just a few more points and I'll stop with this. So a well-developed person, what kind of a person is a well-developed person, a holistic person that we are talking about? I want to go with Albert Einstein's quotation. Knowledge and skills alone cannot lead humanity to a happy and dignified life. A student must acquire a vivid sense of the beautiful and what is morally good. Otherwise, with his specialized knowledge, the student will more closely resemble a well-trained dog than a harmoniously developed person. Imagine, we the teachers should ask ourselves the question, are we training our students like training a dog to do certain things? Or are we actually training a human being as a harmoniously developed person? This is the big question. So Albert Einstein is saying if you want to be really happy in life, you cannot be happy by just being a trained dog. Be a harmoniously developed person. And as teachers and as students, as part of the teaching learning process, as part of the education sector, this is what we need to keep in mind so that we are happy in life. Because happiness in life, as we saw right in the beginning itself, is this. So as part of the thing, this is what we are supposed to do. So finally, what are the takeaways from this interaction that we've had? Number one, be a teacher who's proud of his profession. I want all of you to remember that, teachers particularly to remember that you're proud of what you're doing because what you're doing is important. Important to yourself, to your students, to the society, and to the country. And therefore, you should be very proud of what you're doing. And if you're proud of what you're doing, you'll do it well. And when you do it well, you will enjoy doing it and you will derive happiness out of that. Focus should not be just on developing an engineer. It should be on developing a holistic personality. That is very important. Remember, in our classes, in our interaction with our students, you should always find time to bring in social skills and bring in life skills so that sometimes without the students realizing it, they would be slowly absorbing these skills. And that's important to make them holistic personalities. Without grounding in ethics and values, a professional sooner or later will be failure in life. Remember that. You may be successful in your profession. I told you the story of 3 of my students. But because they did not focus on values and ethics and life skills, they failed in their lives. So remember, these are important things in the development of a holistic personality. Ethics and values cannot be fully taught. Students should be able to observe them in their teachers and experience that in college life. All of us who are part of the teaching learning process, part of the education sector, part of an educational institution, to remember this. Ethics and values cannot be taught. Students would observe teachers and others and the system exhibiting ethics and values and learn from that. So we who are part of the education system should actually project ethics and values so that our students learn from that and imbibe those values in their lives so that later in life they are not only professionally successful, they're successful in their lives also. This is exactly what I wanted to say. Before I end, we are all very worried about what is happening in the world today, the pandemic. But remember that this cannot be forever. This will pass. So this famous quotation, I want all of you to remember this too shall pass. So sooner or later, mankind will overcome the pandemic. And then we would come back to our old ways. But when we come back to old ways, remember, one of the taglines of our life should be pursuing happiness, right? So in whatever profession we are, particularly if you are in the teaching profession, we should be able to pursue that. So I end my interaction. Let's be happy in our profession and make our students happy. So as teachers, let us be happy and then make our students happy. And let's all be hopeful of the future. We are going through a difficult time, but let us learn to be hopeful that we would overcome this and we would get back to this. So let's be happy. Let's make our students happy and let's all be hopeful of the future. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Sariga, thank you. Is there anything more? Hello. Hello. I see Dr. Tiwari's chat there. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Thank you all very much. Stop.
Are you there, sir? I'm live now. I got late. Okay. So thank you, participants. Thanks for being there. I hope you enjoyed this session. So we will be back with the next technical session. It will be there at sharp 2:45. So we'll be back and let us see how Dr. Biswanath goes with it. We have tried to have again a demonstration of how to work with the semantic technologies. He has himself developed an ontology codo for the COVID pandemic, and he will explain and demonstrate how that ontology could be used and how it was made. So let us be back at sharp 2:45. Bye-bye for then.
Sarika ma'am.
Yeah, who is it?
Madam, ma'am, I'm Kalivar Prasad. Will you help in sending the PPT, ma'am, if possible?
Yeah, actually we'll be sharing the videos with you.
No, ma'am, PPT I want.
PPTs, I do not feel ethical asking the experts for the PPT.
Okay,
So
okay, okay.
PPTs will be available in the video. Very much they will be available now.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Right.
So we all could refer from that.
Okay, ma'am. Right, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Bye-bye.